Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Planet Film Network. Welcome back for this very special upload for May the 4th. I know we're taking a little bit of a break on the main channel just for content, summer craziness going on right now. Taking a bit of a pause on the live show, but we wanted to make sure that we did stuff. There's just so much Star Wars content this week. I know that I took part in all of it. I know TJ took part in most of it because we are also working around our jobs at the same time. But there was just so much stuff we definitely wanted to hop on, give you our thoughts on everything going on with Star Wars right now. So, TJ, first and foremost, uh, what is your before we kind of break down the four main topics that we're going to be talking about here? What
hmm
has your May the 4th been like this year? What did you do to celebrate? Did you say a prayer in honor of Jyn Erso? Did you just watch the stuff,
Uh,
or what have you been doing?
yeah, no, I checked out some of the stuff. Obviously, Tales of the Empire came out, I believe, Friday night. I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched some of those episodes. Saw some of the Acolyte trailer. Can I just say, like, I appreciate that they released like a new show, right?
Yeah.
And maybe I'm forgetting previous years, but I just feel like maybe we're lacking a little bit. Like, could you give me like maybe like and Acolyte's great, obviously, or I'm hoping it's great. Hasn't come out yet, but could I get a trailer for something else?
I
Maybe like a
honestly,
Skeleton Crew
I
or like
thought we were gonna get Andor.
or yeah
Yeah, yeah.
or season two. Um,
I
just
really
my little
thought
kind
either
of
one of those we were gonna get.
yeah, just kind of my little nitpick, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a great May the 4th. Obviously, I saw Phantom Menace on Friday. Leading into the 4th, and checked out Tales of the Empire, like I said. Um, and yeah, just kind of same old, I guess. But yeah, if they could have just put out, just another trailer, maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's all I'm asking for. That's not Acolyte
Yeah.
that we haven't seen before.
Even if it was just like, I was thinking the other day, and I'm just like, and I watched everything that came out.
hmm
So I'll take this time before we get into the topics to say the thing I was thinking about is I was like, how is there not every May 4th like a 7 minute, or maybe you do 9 minutes because there's nine Skywalker saga films, so let's just say nine is the Star Wars number. How is there not like a 9 minute video that drops on all the official channels that is like, here's everything we have coming
hmm
right now? You know what I mean? Like here's 10 seconds of Dave going, "I'm writing Ahsoka season 2." Here's Tony
Yeah.
Gilroy going, "Man, we can't show you anything, but me and Diego are so pumped to bring you, everything." Here's a thought: maybe Oscar nominee, huge actor Jude Law, that's the star
hmm
of your upcoming show. Maybe have him talk about the show a little bit. Like just literally, even if you don't want to do footage, just like
hmm
be like, here's what we have coming up. Here's why you should get excited for the next year of Star Wars. I do think to your point of like we're lacking this year. I
hmm
think that it's pretty on par. If I think it's pretty on par or even slightly above what we get some years. The difference being though, there's not usually this many like irons in the fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's
hmm
so much that they could have, like last year. I thought it was good with we got some trailers, got some news. We got Tales of the Jedi last year. I believe Bad Batch also had a finale last year on May the 4th. Um, but like it's like there's so much open opportunity right now that I think in comparison it feels like, you know, we kind of know that you guys are working on stuff that like you're not showing anybody, and it's like
hmm
just give us a heads up, show us stuff. You know what I mean? Like I think in addition to either the Andor or the Crew trailer, which I really thought we were getting. I was almost 100% like I was telling my friend at work. I was like, yeah. I was like, I guess it just depends on which show is coming first. But I was like, we're probably gonna get Andor or Skeleton Crew trailer. And then I think the other thing that surprised a lot of people that we didn't get any word on is the next animated project. I think
Hmm.
everybody was really anticipating the next anime project, and I looked up the dates. So Clone Wars season 7 finale was on May the 4th, 4 years ago. Bad Batch, their series order didn't get announced until the end of July. So that was like 3 months.
Hmm.
So it wasn't like Clone Wars ended and then the same day they were like, the Bad Batch coming soon. It was 3 months, and it wasn't done at a celebration. It wasn't done in anything. It was just a press release. So I think there's always it doesn't mean that we're not going to get another animated project. I just think it's like, if you know what the project's going to be, like, just like make this day as powerful and as big as you can.
Yeah.
And again, that's just like minor stuff. Um, but that's just some of the stuff that I was thinking about. I was like, man, I really wish that every year they would just get a really great marketing department, or just a really great like trailer department to just like throw together, like, not a sizzle reel about one show, but a sizzle reel of what everything that everyone at Lucasfilm is working on. Show us what's happening on the publishing front, what's happening on the gaming front. Give us it'd be like, Cameron Moynihan being like, "Hey, we're starting recording sessions for 3."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just stuff like that. But again, I'm happy with what we got. It's just like, in my dream, I'm just like, man, that can't be too hard to do, right? Like, make
Yeah.
just like a quick, like, uh this year's Sting or whatever. And maybe they're just holding off and wanting to save a lot for Celebration Japan, which that's another thing that, like, obviously we're not taking part in, but like this week also the Celebration tickets went on sale. So for the people who are going to Celebration, I think that they did get a little bit more this past weekend to be like, well, we got all this stuff and we booked our Celebration stuff, and there was
Right.
announcements. And for me, at least, I'm not going to Celebration, but I am going again to Toronto Fan Expo, and they did announce a ton of Star Wars guests this week, so that was really really cool. But yeah, so overall, I think it was nice. I enjoyed it. But let's get into some of the stuff that we actually did. And let's start out with Phantom Menace. So as you kind of hinted at, we both together went on Friday night and we watched Star Wars Episode One: The Phantom Menace. It was the one of only two Star Wars movies that I have not ever seen in theaters.
Hmm.
Now the last one is just, I've never seen A New Hope in theaters. So I've seen
Oh.
I've seen everything else.
Hmm.
Because I saw Empire. Empire I'd want to see again because I saw Empire, I want to say, like, at the Riviera as like one of their free movie series in like 2007 or so. You know what I mean? It
Oh.
was like,
Yeah.
I have not seen Empire as like the adult human that I am now. It was just like, here's the movie that or maybe it was even like 10 More Days or something, and it was like the show that they were playing outside.
Yeah.
So I have seen Empire on a huge screen, but
Hmm.
I'd like to see that one. But the only one that I have never seen now is A New Hope. So I was happy to go see Phantom Menace on the big screen. But yeah, what were your thoughts on going to see it? How did you come away from it? Did your relationship with the movie change at all? How'd you feel?
Um. No. Yeah. I would say I probably feel pretty much the same as when I've seen it any other time.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, just speaking of like seeing, I don't know if technically like having like when I went to Shay's a month or two ago, um, when I saw Harry Potter,
Mm-hmm.
and then I saw actually Return of the Jedi at Kleinhand's last week with like the live orchestra thing. So I don't know if
Oh
that counts
wow.
as seeing it in the theater, but I'll take it.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
think it does.
but obviously that was really cool. Um, but yeah, I did come away thinking, I said this too. I go, I never, and I wasn't sure, I couldn't recall if Jake Lloyd like had this like hate around him when this movie originally came out. But I really enjoyed him in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I connected to him right away as Anakin. I thought he was funny, charming, like all that stuff. And um, I kind of do wish maybe we got more of him as that character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, I still really liked it. Obviously, it's still really slow. Um, it 1 second, my dog is going crazy.
No problem. I mean, I would say for me, I think in terms of like did my relationship change to the movie? I think it did, only because I will say right now I'm on 9 days in a row at work right
Hmm.
now, so I'm a little tired.
Okay.
And that day I was working 8 to 5, and then we
Yeah.
went to an 8 p.m. show. So I was a little tired,
Hmm.
um, and I definitely felt the slowness. I
Yeah.
think more so than I normally do. And my friend made a good point. He said, "Do you think that's just because the slow parts kind of drift away easier when you're watching it at home? That
Hmm.
like you can kind of distract yourself a
Right.
little bit more?" And I was like, maybe, yeah. But that
You know
being
what it
said, I
is
still really liked it. Yeah,
with the slowness. I kind of pinpointed it to. I think as soon as they get to Coruscant, it
yeah.
like slows to like a halt, and
And
I'm like,
also, they don't get
okay,
to Coruscant until like an hour into the movie.
all right.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, and they even like when when they're down underwater and they're
Yeah.
kind of escaping in the ship and all the fish are chasing them and all that stuff. Even that, I was like, man, this is going on like a long time. Like they're in this little thing
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely, I'm happy to hear you say that, because I was sitting there, I was like, man, am I like,
Yeah.
and again, not that I like don't like the movie or anything. It's just like you can feel it. You can,
Hmm.
I can see the areas that people that criticize the movie and the people that still go, I know it's been reappraised and stuff, but I just,
Hmm.
it's not a great movie. I don't agree with that. I think it is a great movie, but I can
Hmm.
see the places that they're coming from. And then, just because we're going to, we're not doing a full show here, keep it quick. Last thing I'll say on this, I 100% agree with you about Jake Lloyd.
Yeah.
I was sitting there, I remember I turned to you, I said, I was like, not that I was looking at my watch, but I did look at my watch and I went, we're an hour in and Anakin's not even in this movie. I was like, where? But then, granted, when he comes in, like
Yeah.
he's basically in every scene until the end. But it
Hmm.
is kind of a weird choice that it's kind of like it's Qui-Gon's movie, and then once Anakin gets introduced, it's Anakin's movie. It's like it changes who the primary protagonist is like halfway through the film,
Right.
which is interesting. But I agree with you that like I do kind of wish we got more. I wish it was more like Luke, where like, and maybe that would help break up some of the slowness. Is if we were following Padme, Anakin, and then Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan cutting back and forth. You know what I mean? Cutting
Hmm.
back and forth between them, just like you did with, not so much Han. You didn't really cut back to Han, but like the
Hmm.
intercutting between Luke and Leia for like the first 30 minutes of A New Hope. You know what I mean? Like you're
Hmm.
cutting back and forth, changing up. Who you're following, all that stuff. And it would just give a reason for Jake Lloyd to be in it more, because, like you said, I mean, sure, it's like, is he an annoying kid? Yeah, that's how the
Right.
character's written. Like the
Hmm.
character's written to be an annoying kid. But like you said, man, when he said like when he goes into that stuff that's like, um, man, I'm like, hard to even remember it, but the dinner table scene basically where he's talking about like, um, oh, that's what it is. Have you come to free the slaves? And
Yeah.
Qui Gon just kind of doesn't answer him, and Jake Lloyd really really sells when he's like, "I think you have." He's like I think you have, and you just don't even know it. Like that
Yeah.
felt so genuine. And then his stuff with I'm blanking on her name, but his stuff with Shmi, his mom, I'm blanking on the actress's name. Um,
Hmm.
their chemistry is fantastic. For the 10 or 20 minutes that we get of the two of them, kind of in the middle of the movie, um, is fantastic. I mean, I loved all the stuff on Tatooine. I thought it was really really great.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say is seeing it on that big screen. Uh,
Ooh.
Watto
Yeah.
and Jar
Jar Jar.
Jar are there's like I think there's just like areas where it's like it wasn't meant to be seen in this much detail. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? It's like in this is I watched Attack of the Clones probably 9 months ago maybe, and like the way that Watto looks in Attack of the Clones versus the way that Watto looked in this movie is like night and day.
Hmm.
Like it's just, and you know what it is, it's not even about like the character design or anything, it's just the lighting. It's like they just, because Phantom Menace is shot on 35 millimeter film, I think there's just always gonna be like a difference there, that it's just like, you know, you see Liam Neeson in like the full frame, and it almost feels like Watto is there next to him, but like on a one layer closer.
I know what you
You know
mean.
what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, and it just had this weird kind of effect that I
I thought.
don't
Yeah,
feel watching it on a TV.
there was one point when they're walking through. What's the town called again that they're
Mos
in?
Espa.
Mos Espa,
That's,
and
hey, that's
it's
Boba Fett's territory, man. Don't get it
yeah,
twisted.
it's kind of like panning out, and we see them kind of walking wherever they're going, and
Yeah.
you see Jar Jar kind of following them behind, but it's just like it just doesn't look like where it's like okay, they're actually there. Like I can see Liam Neeson walking on the sand, like it clearly looks like
Yeah.
he's walking. Whereas like if you look at Jar Jar, it's like it looks like you said like it's like a layer like off of that
Hmm.
off the ground.
Yeah.
So it just does not look
It's more
correctly.
like and I know that Watto literally is, but it's like they're floating in the scene
Right,
rather
right.
than
And
like
it's
actually
just the
being grounded.
limitation of the time. I mean,
And it's the first
you
movie to
know,
ever do it. And I was sitting
right.
there
So,
thinking, I was like, man, I was like, this Watto shot looks rough, particularly like when he's betting with Qui-Gon in the dice scene. That was where I really felt it. And then I
yeah.
went, man, people always talk about like Jar Jar as the first CGI, main character of a movie. And yes, main character for sure. But like Watto's
Mhm.
in that movie a pretty decent amount. And he's a fully CG character too. Like they did multiple fully CG characters in this movie, and I think that that's like a credit to it, and a credit to Star Wars and everything like that. But um, one thing that was a little disappointing was there was supposed to be
Oh yeah.
footage for the Acolyte, a little teaser before it, and then a full scene after it. The theater we went to just did not have that in there.
Yeah.
So that was a shame. I have not since looked at it. I
Hmm.
might tonight. But then I'm kind of half a mind where I'm like, I was really anticipating seeing it. The show's only a month away. I'm like, maybe I won't even bother like trying to track down the footage to see it. Um, but that being said, we did still get a little taste of the Acolyte with the new trailer. So I know you said that you watched part of it or watched most of it.
Hmm.
What did you kind of feel about the trailer? Did it move the needle for you at all in terms of your anticipation for the series, or are you just kind of like, okay, this is just kind of maybe more tone setting and just like getting me more in the mindset of this series? How did you kind of feel about the new trailer? And we got posters, character posters, and a couple more images and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it didn't really honestly move the needle all that much for me. I think I'm pretty much set. I'm excited. Again, it's not. Remember when the first trailer came out, I had thought it was something else, and
Yeah.
it's clearly not that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine. The way they were posturing it, I felt like prior to that first trailer come out, it was like, oh, you're gonna follow like this, secret Sith person who's doing all this stuff, and that
Yeah.
is obviously not the case. I am excited every time I see Carrie Ann Moss. I'm excited to see more of her. I feel like she's not in enough stuff.
Mm-hmm.
At least anything that's like kind of pushing the
She's
mainstream.
definitely
Obviously
getting
she's in
killed
Matrix,
in the
but
first episode, right?
I know. Yeah, I figured that.
That's what
I
I
figured
think.
that.
That's just, yeah.
Um, so I'm excited for that. And I'm excited to see who this kind of secret Sith is.
Yeah.
Is it someone maybe we know? Is it obviously someone brand new? Is it someone we've seen before?
And I really
Um,
like the design. Reminds me of these guys, and I think that's very intentional
yeah.
on the mask with the
Hmm.
silver teeth that it has.
Yeah,
It
that was
looks
cool.
very like xenomorph esque, and I wonder if Leslie Headland will eventually come out and say that like, yeah, the Sith when it came time to like, okay, well, how do we want our Sith to look in this?
Hmm.
I wonder if Leslie Headland will, name Alien as an inspiration, because it definitely looks like that, especially on the poster.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, for me, I liked the trailer. I thought maybe we were gonna get the really dark tone trailer in the first one, and we didn't. It was much more like, oh, this Jedi mystery. And so then when I saw that people, because I was watching Tales of the Empire when this trailer came out, so I didn't watch the
Hmm.
trailer until about an hour later because I was just like, I'm not gonna leave the Disney Plus app. I was like, I just sat down, fired off all 6 Tales of the Jedi's in one sitting, and then went and watched the trailer. So I was seeing people tweeting about the trailer, and they were like, oh my god," and I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Is this the trailer that like we thought we were gonna get last time?" Not so much. I think it was again, a little darker than the first trailer. I think,
Hmm.
just with showing the Sith mask and all this stuff, and a little bit more. You say Carrie Ann Moss. I'm really excited for Lee Jong Jae. I really, really love Squid Game. I really liked it when it came out, and then I really loved it even more when I rewatched it earlier this year. And we're going to be getting Acolyte and season 2 of Squid Game both in this year. So excited to see him, and I like that they kind of focused a little more on him and Amanda Stenberg's characters and their relationship. That it seems like she was his either first or his previous Padawan, his previous apprentice, and then now clearly Daphne Keene is his current apprentice. So what's the Daphne Keene Amanda Steinberg relationship gonna be? That like we both got trained by the same person, but like I turned and you didn't. What's the reason there? So I'm really excited for all that stuff. And then what's his name? Is it Dean Charles Chapman? I believe that's his name. Tommen from Game of Thrones. He was kind of absent from the first trailer, and in this one, you see his eyes go black and get kind of taken over by this like thing. And that's really interesting to me. I have no idea what that's going to be about. Maybe that's going to be with the kind of witch clan that we're meeting with Jodie Turner Smith. So it's really setting up the stage for a lot of different mysteries and stuff like that. And I like what Leslie Headland keeps saying about the mystery is it's
Hmm.
not necessarily a mystery that like unfolds itself. It's like a mystery that just keeps digging further and further down. It's like she described it as a like a drill. She's like it's not a mystery that you're going to uncover more and more of to make it resolve the one question that we ask. She was like, it's a mystery that the first question is going to lead to 5 more questions.
Yeah.
And that really hypes me up, both because that means I think it's going to do the series a credit that we're not just after, answering one question, because I think that can get you in the trap of if you answer the question in the first season, you're like, okay, then why do I care about a season 2? If you don't answer the question in the first season, then people go, well, you didn't even resolve it. You know what I mean? So if it's a
Yeah.
mystery that has so many dimensions and layers, you can answer, season 1, we're gonna give you the full answer on this part. But then come
Hmm.
back, because season 2, we still have a mess to clean up. You know what I mean? We still have to figure out what's going on. So I'm excited on that front. But I'll say I really just think that it's Leslie Headland's interviews that are getting me more hyped for this show than even some of the marketing material.
Hmm.
But that being said, very excited for it. It's going to be coming out sooner rather than later with 2 episode premiere on June 4th. So I'm very excited for that. And then speaking of 2 episode premiere, Tales of the Empire had a 6 episode premiere. Um, I took a look at, or sorry, do you have any last things on the Acolyte?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I took a look at all 6. I know TJ got to watch the first 3 with Morgan Elsbeth. So I definitely want to, talk about what he thought about it, the tone, everything like that, and then I'll touch a little bit on the Barris stuff at the end. But I'll keep it kind of spoiler free for you, which is pretty easy with this type of show.
Hmm.
Um, but overall, I mean, I feel like it's only right to talk about the show on its own, but also to compare it to Tales of the Jedi that we got last year. How did this series kind of land with you? These first 3, at least, with kind of exploring how Morgan Elsbeth got from the Clone Wars up to where we find her, in The Mandalorian and Ahsoka.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I thought it was really well done. I enjoyed, I'd say, the first 3 episodes. I don't know if I could like I don't know if I could really rank them if I had to. But I do like to see how she got to where she was.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the third episode kind of brings it into where we go in Mandalorian, which is that season 2, I think it was.
Yeah.
Um, and when they arrive at that town and what happens in that episode. I think like my one thing was like because we see obviously in the beginning like her village and her everybody gets killed and destroyed, and
Mm-hmm.
she kind of retreats to kind of higher up in the mountains, I think it was, where there's this other clan that and this whole story takes place. But how she kind of becomes like where and maybe I'm just not like following it correctly, where she's like kind of joining the empire, but I'm kind of like, and obviously at the time that that's taking place, it's like when her family's gone, it's like, well, that's not technically the empire. That's like, that's the whatever you want to call it during the Clone War. It's like the Trade Federation or whatever.
Oh yeah,
So,
like the Separatists, like with Grievous.
right.
Yeah.
So in my head, I was like, it's hard for me to make that jump where it's like she just saw all these terrible things that just happened
Mm-hmm.
at the hands of it was technically the empire,
Yeah.
which I'm assuming everybody post Revenge of the Sith made that connection. It was like, oh, these are the same guys.
Mm-hmm.
So in my head, I'm like, how can you like make that jump to like be like, oh, I'm gonna work with them, but it's like, but they killed your family. I just it was hard
Yeah.
for me to like make that like kind of jump in logic, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think 100%. I will say, I think the only thing to justify that would be, I think Thrawn kind of calls her out on that a little bit of
Hmm.
like, you told, and I loved seeing Pelion in this
Oh
too.
yeah,
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 that was cool. And what's his name? And Warwick Davis from Rebels, the little guy, the little freak guy, Reek. Yeah,
Oh
the
yes,
little
yeah.
assassin
Hmm.
guy that
I
Thrawn
thought that
has.
guy looked familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, these show like if these Tales shows are giving us anything, it's just seeing more and more characters from Rebels in the Clone Wars style. It's just
Hmm.
like see how different they look. But I think Thrawn kind of calls her out on that a little bit, where he's like, you told Pelion that it was for the for the glory of the Empire or whatever. Like, and he's like, I don't believe that. Like, what's the real reason? And
Hmm.
I think we even see that in the Ahsoka series, where she changes it, from for the Empire to, or from Long Live the Empire to Long Live Dathomir, or Forward Dathomir, or
Right. Yeah.
whatever she says. So I think part of it is like there's just so much of a gap in between there that it's like we still really don't know what happened to her in all these years
Hmm.
between. Because I mean, I would figure that her episodes take place at bare minimum over the course of 30 years. You know what I mean? So at minimum, Thrawn's an admiral, so it's probably like 6 years before A New Hope is that
Hmm.
episode, I would assume. Especially that's, and I liked seeing a little bit more of the TIE Defender program. That
Hmm.
obviously, he's got that, historic beef with Tarkin over. Um, which is funny because
Yeah.
it just in, which we'll talk about next, but in the Bad Batch finale, um, Tarkin shows up and he swallows up some funding, which
Hmm.
is the whole fight that he has with Thrawn throughout the whole show, throughout all of Rebels. Is I want the funding for Stardust, not for the TIE
Right.
Defender. So it was cool seeing. You have that question in like,
And even in the books too.
and in, yeah, exactly, in
Yeah.
Thrawn Treason, and even in the Tarkin novel. Um, but it's cool because you have that question in Mando where you're like, you don't know where it's leading to in that episode until Ahsoka says, "Where is your master? Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?" And you're like, "Master? Like
Yeah.
Thrawn's like a military guy? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, and then they have such a close relationship in the Ahsoka series. This really kind of explains that a lot more, because Thrawn is obviously very dedicated to the TIE Defender program. Now we know that she is who brought that to him. So like it makes sense now, why they are so kind of, in cahoots with each other. Um So I like that aspect of it and everything like that. I will say overall, on all six, I think that all six of these, and just quickly on the Barris stuff, um, I thought that the Barris episodes were interesting, had a lot of cool stuff. It was cool to see where that character was going. Um, I just wish that there was like more there. So I guess what I'll say on the overall six episodes of Tales of the Empire, I would put them on par with the Ahsoka episodes of
Mm-hmm.
Tales of the Jedi. But now these tales, we have 12 total episodes of these tales, and I think that the bottom nine are, I like them and they're good, but the bottom nine are nowhere near the three Dooku episodes. I mean, those three
Mm-hmm.
Dooku
Those were
episodes
good. Yeah.
are just like, and I think maybe that's just like partially the result of just Dooku is such an interesting and kind of untapped
Mm-hmm.
character. So I think that I will admit I think there is a natural edge to the Dooku episodes. Is we just know so little about him, particularly in on screen format. Obviously, there's Dooku Jedi Lost, the book, and a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
other stuff. But um, I just think that overall, I think that these six episodes were just not even in the same realm as the Dooku ones. And I would probably put them on scale with like the Ahsoka episodes
Mm-hmm.
from season one.
Well, I'll be right
Still
back real
really
quick.
still really enjoyable. I still liked how they went about it. I did like the Barris episodes. I thought that the stuff that they showed with the Inquisitorius and with Vader was very very interesting. But again, everything that they showed was interesting and I liked it. I just wish that there was a little bit more. And with Ahsoka, it kind of felt like with Ahsoka and Dooku, it kind of felt like we were just learning these new wrinkles in characters that we kind of already know their beginning, their middle, and their end. Obviously, with Ahsoka, we don't know
Mm-hmm.
her end yet, but um, I think with Barris, it was a little frustrating coming off of those three. I'm trying to keep it kind of spoiler free, but basically it was a little frustrating coming off of those three, not getting all the answers because it's a character that we don't know her future, we don't know
Mm-hmm.
her in betweens, and we have no idea if or even when we'll ever see her again.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that maybe she dies in Tales of the Empire, maybe she doesn't. I'm just saying that I think that even just the in betweens, it was a little too loose. It was like we don't have a bunch of books about Barris to really kind of like nail down and place exactly what I'm supposed to feel and what is supposed to have happened in the in between time. Um, so I was left a little more disappointed in the Barris episodes, just in terms of closure. Whereas the Morgan Elsbeth episodes, I thought they had a really great arc that gave us three interesting chapters in the character's life, and then the third one really brought it home to, you know, hello, who's there? Who's there? No one's coming, and then we know Ahsoka's probably already on her way. Like so
Mm-hmm.
that bit of closure, I just like that a lot more in the Morgan Elsbeth one. I feel like we didn't get that kind of closed loop on the Barris episodes. Super tiny nitpick. I mean, these episodes are like 12 minutes long. But if I have to say my nitpick, I think it's that. I liked all the Inquisitorius stuff. I really liked the fourth sister, who is the one from Kenobi.
Mm-hmm.
The woman from Kenobi that has the kind of like small little tendrils coming out of her. She has like the orange skin. She is, however much you think she was going to be in the Barris episodes, she is in all three of them, like a lot. Like she
Yeah.
is a very important person in this. But that being said, I still liked him. You know what I mean? It's like it's an hour of Star Wars that's or about an hour and a half of Star Wars that's just fun. More information is always good information. And I thought, as always, the animation was incredible. The action was really, really good, and the voice acting, obviously is just fantastic. But yeah, that's kind of where I land
Real
on. Yeah,
real quick, last thing I'll say is one just just occurred to me. One character I think that could benefit from one of these and I don't know how they decide like what characters, they're going to give these kind of stories to. I think Balin Skull would be like a perfect
yeah,
character you would throw in for one of these, whenever they're going to do more of these, assuming they do, for like a 3 episode type arc, because that is a character that a lot of people, we only know him from Ahsoka,
hmm
um, and unfortunately, Ray Stevenson passed away. So I don't know if they want to recast it, they can still do that, but I still think that's like a good like, he's not going to get his own movie or something like
yeah.
that, obviously. So I think tell me, how he ended up to where he was in Ahsoka over like a three, like they did in the first 3 episodes of Tales of the Empire. Give me that kind of story.
I'm trying to think. I was trying to think of like what the word would be, like Tales of the what?
Yeah, right.
Because he's not
Exactly. Yeah.
Sith, he's not Jedi.
Right.
I thought Tales of the Lost, and then
Hmm.
as soon as I said that word, I went 6 episodes, 3 on Balin, 3 on Ventress. I was like,
Mm.
that would be great. Like maybe not going as forward as much with Ventress, but going back, like
Yeah.
an episode of her on Dathomir, then an episode of her when she was a Jedi, then maybe an episode, maybe even post Bad Batch, like to really
Mm.
see where she is and what she's doing. Another one I think you could do is just you could go Tales of, I don't know, Tales of Dark Disciple, and just do
Yeah.
7 episodes and do Dark Disciple finally. Um, but yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I'm happy we got them. I do think that just those high highs of the 3 Dooku episodes, but specifically, nothing has come close to the episode the Sith Lord. That not
Mm.
nothing has. None of these other 11 episodes, even the other 2 Dooku ones, I just think none of them came to the level of that one. That one is like so good. The one with him, Yaddle, and Sidious, is just fantastic. It was nice seeing Yaddle in the Phantom Menace. Also,
Oh yeah.
shout out, her last day alive. So shout out to that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just really enjoyed it. But let us know, what did you guys think of Tales of the Empire, everything like that. But TJ, let's get into this. The big thing, I think bigger than any of this that happened this week that wasn't on May the 4th. It was on May the 1st. Is we finally said goodbye. Probably for now, but said
Hmm.
goodbye in their own namesake show to Clone Force 99. And we got the absolute mega episode to close out the hour-long finale of Bad Batch season 3 and the series as a whole. Um, I'm just gonna let you run with it. What were your thoughts on the closeout of the season? What were your thoughts on the closeout of the series overall? Some of your favorite moments, where people ended up. How did it all kind of shake out and land with you? And then you don't have to. You can throw it back to me before this, but also think about, where do you think we see any of these people next?
Hmm. Yeah, I thought it was a great wrap up finale.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people, including me and probably you, throughout the season, I felt like we started really strong with those first 3 episodes, I think it was, that
Mm-hmm.
released. And then we kind of got back to like the, adventure of the week, that type of thing. And then we would kind of, every time we came back to, the lab and the testing on the clones and all that stuff, that was the sweet
That was where the
spot. That
juice
was like,
was.
that's where I was like, okay, keep me here. And then
Mm-hmm.
they jump somewhere else and be like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Particularly, I'll
no.
say honestly, like the 2 or 3 episodes where they were getting Rampart, where they were like
Hmm.
breaking him out, like the episode Juggernaut and Flashpoint. They were just kind of I loved them. I thought there was great Rampart stuff in that. I mean, we can kind of talk about, the last time we talked about the show, it was the two-parter with Rex and Wolf and all of that. It was like the big two-parter episode. So
Hmm.
we haven't talked about it in a couple of episodes, but um, there were still fun moments in that. But those two episodes together, right before the finale, really just felt like, hey, what you love about this show too is just the action. And so like we're just gonna give you two pure action episodes. And I like them, but I agree with you 100% that it's like, all right, I like the action, but like
Hmm.
let's give like Omega some crazy stuff to do like in captivity rather than just like, it was kind of across two episodes. It took kind of two full episodes for Omega to be like the elevator shaft. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, that could have been like we could have progressed so much further.
Right.
So I totally agree with you on that point. But
I thought throughout the finale they did a really good job of building the tension. You know, these kind of droids, the kind of I don't know what they were called exactly. The clones that were like
oh,
they were like
the
the special
CX
operative
clones,
clones.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Like I felt like those clones seemed like they were like formidable opponents to obviously the Bad Batch. So that had me worried when they got captured, obviously, and he was trying to uh turn them on to their side. That I was in at that point, and the finale kind of on the bridge. I thought that scene was just so well done.
yeah,
Like just the rain coming, like had reminded me obviously of like um when Obi-Wan's on Camino and
yeah,
the
right,
Attack
yeah,
of the Clones, and he's fighting Django and all that stuff. And kind of like the struggle between why does the scientist's name leave my mind all the
Hemlock,
time? Hemlock, yeah, Hemlock uh and Hunter and Crosshair, and kind of trying to line the shot up, that
yeah,
whole
with
thing. I
one
thought that
hand,
tension,
yeah,
yeah, I thought that tension was amazing. And just I guess it came out what, 2 weeks ago? As a spoiler,
the
like,
finale
yeah,
2 days ago
last week, 2 days ago.
or three. It's like it's been a
um,
lot of Star Wars in a very short amount of
yeah,
time. So
I'm just surprised nobody died. I'm surprised
yeah,
everybody made. I thought one of them at
well,
least
except
was
for
going to
Hemlock.
die. Well, yeah,
Well,
obviously Hemlock
well, we
died.
got all right.
I
Yeah,
think we
spoilers
think he
here.
died.
We got Hemlock, Rampart, and Nala Se were basically our three big and
Yeah,
like shout out Nala Se, right? All the way
yeah, she
the
freaking,
OG from Attack of the Clones,
yeah.
Um not to be
Shut
confused
up.
with Lama Su or Tan Wee. But Nala Se, going out like a champ.
Yeah.
Um Rampart just thinking that he was like, I got the one up. And then I love too, honestly, like we don't have the time to get into all of this in this video here, but a great conversation for probably real life. And I know that we've texted about this, every couple episodes. Um Obviously really dark for an animated show. I would say
Hmm.
not geared towards 10-year-olds, probably more geared towards 14, 15, 16 and older, I would say this
Yeah.
show. And speaking of that, I think there was a lot of of symbolism, allegory, everything like that for a lot of specifically like what I took away as like Jewish culture. I think there was a
Hmm.
lot of that in this season, both in um, Cad Bane rounding up children,
Yeah.
being reporting your fellow neighbor, all of this stuff, and then actually on the total flip side, nothing to do with the Force. Um, it really felt like stories that you would hear about Jewish scientists being forced to work for the Nazis when Nala Se went out, when she said, the thing you don't understand is that our technology will always be Kaminoan. Like you
Right.
and the fact that Rampart is the guy who authorized the strike to destroy Camino. And it's like so
Hmm.
and that's in season 1. And so it's like I loved that's where people were like, "Man, we got to wrap up so much with this finale, I hope it's long." That's where the long finale really allows it to because people said they were like, "We still don't really have like Nala Se closure." And then because the episode was an hour long, you really had the time to like bring Nala Se kind of back into the forefront. I thought it was genius to have her cell right next to Ramparts, so we just kind of already have that dynamic brewing.
Hmm.
And the fact that he destroyed her home. He destroyed every basically committed genocide on her planet. Um,
Yeah.
and so I liked that in that last moment she kind of reclaimed Kamino
Hmm.
and reclaimed her Kaminoan, because as much as the clones, think of Kamino as their home, which is
Right.
always something that I love about this, is that they all identify with Kamino as like their home world. Um, there's also the Kaminoans, like the actual people who live there, or lived there. And I love that moment that she kind of reclaimed it and said like it'll always be Kaminoan. It just reminded me. It struck me as like a movie that where you would see like a Jewish scientist being like, "No, I am not. I refuse to be used to work against my own people." Basically.
Right.
And so I love that moment a lot in the finale. And then you already touched on, the finale on the bridge, just all that stuff, and then Crosshair the whole season with the hand
The
shaking,
hand. Yep.
and that it's
Hmm.
like the hand has become this this symbol of his like fear and his uh perceived inadequacy in himself, right? That he's like, I have this handshake, it's my it's my shooting hand and I can't do anything without it. And so to have that cut from him was devastating in the moment. But then the fact that he so quickly overcomes that and makes the most important shot of the entire series with his non-dominant hand, one-handed over Hunter's shoulder. I mean, that was just fantastic. And the fact that Omega in that moment trusts Crosshair to make the shot, Hunter trusts Crosshair to make the shot. Hunter tells Crosshair, he's like, I'm gonna hit the kid, and Hunter's like, no, she'll know what to do. And then she
Hmm.
pulls out that little tool that she stole a couple episodes ago, stabs Hemlock in the leg, and then their hands just part just enough for Crosshair to get the shot on the handcuffs, and then they just blow that guy away. I was like, man, that was like such a uh, cathartic, like crescendo moment of this guy that like literally the first season and a half the main villain was Rampart, the last season and a half the main villain was Hemlock, and we dispatched and dealt and killed both of those villains
Hmm.
in a super satisfying way. I thought that was really great. And then the last thing I'll touch on, which I want to get your thoughts on, is Echo. I loved everything that we kind of, you know, Echo after season two had really, after Tech died, kind of had really taken a backseat from the batch. He was off with Rex a lot, but I liked that these last four episodes he fully came back into the fray and was just like fully on board and a huge part of it and a huge part of the finale, obviously. And then I liked what they kind of set up with him and Emery. That Emery is she has all this information about all these
Yeah.
clones and stuff that she's gonna go off with Echo and Rex um, to do stuff, and I liked to and this will be my last point on it, and then you can just finish out with whatever you want to do. I liked that we didn't spend 15 minutes saying this is how Wolf, Gregor, and Rex end up on a fishing boat on this planet that we find them in Rebels. You know what I mean? It's like
Hmm.
this finale was about the finale for the Bad Batch. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It wasn't about, well, but how does Rex end up on this planet? This show isn't about Rex. Rex didn't even come back in the finale, and I love that. I mean, I love Rex. Maybe he's probably in my top 5 Star Wars characters of all time. Um, and I was happy that he didn't even come back, because I was like, it makes sense that this finale is for this family that we've been following. Um, but yeah, I just loved all that stuff. And then what else do you have to say? And also, what did you think of the kind of epilogue?
Um, yeah, just real quick, I thought like I agree with everything you said. I thought the whole kids thing, I don't know, that like really like hit me throughout all the episodes, and it's not like we didn't know that the Empire was like, doing these testings on children.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, maybe we didn't know that, but I feel like I knew that already.
I think
But like
yeah.
just kind of have to see it and then see like obviously Cad Bane come in and kidnap that child. That was just like really that was really effective on me. The epilogue I thought was great. Um, I thought it was just going to end kind of after the bridge, and
Mm-hmm.
to see that they had kind of another 5 minutes to give us with kind of the two main connection characters. I feel like
Yeah.
which Hunter and Echo are. That was really nice to see, and it's nice to see that she, uh, obviously she fought this battle, and they had been running, I guess, for however many years that those seasons took place,
Mm-hmm.
and to see her kind of be like, no, now it's my time. I'm gonna go fight, and I want to fight, and I'll be interested to see where she pops up again.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, how many do we know like what that time jump was? Because obviously they're way older, not way older, but
I mean,
they're definitely older.
yeah, I took it as and there's some people being like, well, I mean, if it was that long, Hunter should be like white hair, like crazy old. And I'm like, I think there's
I think
believability
there's some
in.
cloning aging thing
Yeah,
there.
and I have always been ready for and hoping for them to just make a change in canon and say that, because it's always like everybody's like, oh, they have accelerated aging. They aged double speed. I've always been ready for when they eventually say in canon that they speed age to maturity, and then
Mm,
they still age fast, but it's not like, oh, by the time they're 40 they're 80. I think it's more like by the time they're
yeah.
40 they're like 60. That's how I've always taken it, because then in Rebels Rex is like, 40 and he's like 60.
Hmm.
So what I think, and I've come to realize now in like a lot of the reviews that I've watched and stuff, I think I'm in the minority. I always thought that the Bad Batch series was a lot further along than some people. Like some people that I was watching this week, they were like, "Yeah, what do we think about the show itself? Like a year, 2 years?" I always thought that it was
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 years, if not even more. Um, so I think that the actual like epilogue might even be after episode 4, because Omega says, the rebellion, not like, oh, there's a rebellion. She says, like, matter of factly, the rebellion. She says the
Hmm.
rebellion needs pilots now more than ever. So to me,
Yeah.
I'm like, that might even be after Yavin. You know what I mean? That's the way that I kind of took it, is that we're like in episode 4 territory. I don't
Yeah.
think that it's like, oh, I gotta go and join, Saw Gerrera's rebels, anything like
Right.
that. Although I would
Is
like
this gonna
to,
be?
yeah.
Is gonna be one of those things where it's like people go back to watch like episode 4, episode 5, and like episode
Oh
6,
yeah,
people are like,
yeah,
"Is that Rex?"
yeah. Is that blonde? Is that blonde ponytail Omega? Yeah. Um, but overall, I think fantastic show, fantastic series. I think that we can all agree on that. Um, just really, really happy with how it ended up. And then even though we don't see them, you get that line of like, make sure keep taking care of Crosshair and Wrecker. Make sure they don't get
Hmm.
into too much trouble. So it's like they really, like, we really thought that a lot of people were gonna die, or that it was just not. We're just so conditioned to not get a happy ending, and
Right.
it's like Clone Wars for the longest time was such a light show, and then it had this crazy dark ending. And like Rebels was a light show, then it was a pretty dark show, and I would say it
Hmm.
got like a downbeat but like kind of hopeful ending. I like that they said the absolute darkest show we've done so far, Bad Batch, is going to get the lightest ending possible. I love that. And I
Hmm.
love that they really ended up getting to live out the rest of their life on Pabu, which like nobody thought was going to happen. They were like, especially after the trailers, when you see the Empire on Pabu, you're like, well, that's over. Like, but then they just, it's kind of like the end of Rebels, where Sabine says we waited for the Empire to come back, and they just never did. Like,
Hmm.
it's like the Empire's like, we just got too much to worry about. We can't go, like, you know what I mean? They fought us once. We'll circle back. We got bigger things to worry about. Um, but yeah, overall, really, really love the show. For sure. Really happy with everything that we got this past week in Star Wars. But anything else you wanna touch on before we close out?
No, I'm good. I just want to say I really did. I really enjoyed the show. And I'm interested to see what they do next in animation.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. Is do you have, if you had one if you could pick what the next animated series would be, what would you pick?
I think honestly, I would like some. I am not familiar with it, and I know Acolyte takes place during it. I would love some High Republic stuff.
There you go. Yeah.
It seems like they're kind of. It's just me. They just kind of like neglecting that as far as. Obviously, it's in book form, but I feel like it's not in any sort of visual.
Well,
medium.
it's in the Young Jedi Adventures, is the High Republic, but that's like it's like baby stuff. But a full-fledged like Clone Wars style show set, and don't set it at the Acolyte. Don't set it at the end of the High Republic. Give me 500-year-old Yoda. You know what I mean? Give me like the heyday, the begin, maybe even earlier than what's it called? Because basically, Light of the Jedi is described as like it's the very beginning of the end. You know what I mean? Whereas like the Acolyte is like the end of the High Republic. Give me the beginning of the High Republic. You know, give me like Yaddle isn't even born yet type thing. I just think that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take yours, but that would be amazing. For me, I think, and I know that people will go, "Oh, we don't need another show set in this time period." I think that a Path show, whether it's Ventress or whether it's Quinlan or some of the characters that we met in Kenobi, I just think that the Hidden Path is one of the best additions to canon that the Kenobi series made. So I would like to see that explored a little bit more. That would be my pick. Or obviously, you could go totally other era. And you could finally do the Luke show. Give the Luke, Ben, and Lor Santeca show, right? Like, that's one that people have been clamoring for. Or you go even further, and you say the 15 years between Episode 9 and the Rey movie, right? You got 15 years there before the Rey movie that we're going to find. Give me, the Finn and Rey show. I think that would be fantastic. Or give us totally new era, totally new time period, absolutely nothing based in anything that we've known so far. I think that would be also very, very interesting. If I had to put money on it, I think it's going to be a High Republic show. I think you're right on that. I think it's just they can see the whole idea with Project Luminous in 2019 was to start this publishing front to do the High Republic. To see if it would be successful enough to branch out into other mediums. Obviously, we're way past that now. Yeah, I mean, you got High Republic is in Jedi Survivor. It's in, it's got its own kid show. It's about to have its own live action. I think that they are like gonna firmly go hard in the paint in the High Republic stuff going forward. And I'm very excited for that. But until then, that'll do it for this special May the 4th transmission from us at the Planet Film Network. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And remember, there's never hope that this guy might still be out there. Tech lives. That'll be the last thing for me. I've been one of your hosts, Sean Monk.
I've been your host, TJ Cornwell. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment below on any of the topics we talked about. Like, comment, subscribe. We will see you next time.
Boom.